Hi, I'm architect Amol Nayak. I'm a vintage watch and a car collector. I'm here today to show you some pieces from my collection which can help you to start your journey towards watch collecting. These are brands which are readily available in India today at great prices and definitely affordable, and you can consider buying these watches and building your journey in this fascinating hobby that is vintage watch collecting. So let's look at all the pieces one by one, and we'll talk a little bit about each one of them as we go along. So the first watch we have here is a Seiko 66B. This is from 1969. This was one of Seiko's first workhorse movements. It's a very affordable watch today considering what it is. It's got a beautiful bead of rice bracelet. You'd be lucky to find this watch at 10,000 rupees in India, and you'd still have value in it if you found one. This would be comparable to a Rolex Precision in its era, and it has the same look and feel as wearing a Rolex Precision. The next watch we have is an entry level diver from Seiko. This is the Seiko 6106, a very popular watch at one time. Was used by surfers and divers who weren't very serious with it. Wasn't used for depth diving, mostly for scuba or snorkeling. And this also came out in 1969 as Seiko's first offering for serious water sport activities. A very inexpensive watch when you compare it to most Seiko divers, which have now gone above $1,000. You can still find this for $300-400 if you're lucky. It's a treasure hunt, but there are these watches out there in India, and you can still find these at a reasonable price. Let's look at the next watch. The next watch we have is a Seiko chronograph. This is a 6139. It is the same movement as the famous Pogue, which went into space. This was largely considered as the first automatic movement in the world for a chronograph. This version is a JDM, that is a Japanese domestic model. It's extremely rare in India. It has a kanji dial, and also it has a iconic speed timer script on the face. It's got this beautiful sunburst green, and it's on its original bracelet. These watches are typically still available in India for about between 30 and 40,000 rupees, which is half the price of what they cost in the US market. So these provide a very good opportunity for the sports watch collector to get a watch that is a serious proposition. The next watch we have is also from Japan. It was made famous by Brad Pitt in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This watch is the Citizen 8110, a very iconic watch with the start and stop pushers on the top, and that's one of the reasons it's called a bullhead, because they resemble the horns of a bull. It is a flyback chronograph, and a flyback chronograph enables you to record several times without actually stopping and resetting the time. So it's a complicated movement from Citizen. It gives you tremendous value because an equivalent Swiss flyback movement would cost you at least in the few lakhs. These watches can be had for around 25 to 35,000 rupees today in India. Again, half the price of what the international market is. They're fairly easy to find in India. Condition is always king when you find these. So I would recommend everyone to get one in the collection if you're a motorsport fan and a fan of Brad Pitt. The next watch we have is a Russian. It's got a very unique design. It is one of the watches which does not have a 12 indicator. It shows a 0. It's called the Big Zero. These watches were basically made by Raketa in the communist era in the USSR. So these were state-owned factories. They had very unique Russian designs, and these watches are rumored to have been worn by Gorbachev. And Gorbachev very famously said to one of the reporters when he was asked what would happen to the USSR now that it had broken up, and he said, "We will start with a big zero." So this watch is famous because Gorbachev wore it. It is known as Gorbachev's watch. The next brand we have is Rado. Rado is a very divisive brand. It's a love it or hate it brand. Many people like it, many people hate it. They have divisive designs, but they've been pioneers in inventing materials for watch cases. They've got avant-garde designs, and I love vintage Rados. They have beautiful bracelets. They are found extremely reasonably priced in India because they were very popular in India. So you can have a great vintage Rado, a very stylish vintage Rado for under 10,000 rupees all day long. So I would recommend that if you like 70s style, please get a vintage Rado in your collection. There's no better watch. The next watch we have is from my favorite brand, Favre-Leuba. So I consider Favre-Leuba and the West End Watch Company to be the real pioneers in the Indian watch market. They literally were the gatekeepers of the Indian watch market. They got in brands like Zenith, Longines into the Indian market, and also captured the Indian market. This is a Favre-Leuba Sea Chief, a very rare version of the Favre-Leuba Sea Chief on its original bracelet by NSA. These watches were very popular in India, so it's very easy to find these watches in India today. Favre-Leuba is one of the hidden secrets of the watch world, and more Western collectors are today discovering Favre-Leuba. And I think as Indian collectors, there is an opportunity for you to get good Favre-Leubas into your collection at reasonable prices. So I would recommend you to look for Favre-Leuba watches, and there's a lot of variety in them. So the last watch I'm going to talk about this evening is the Enicar Sherpa 600. Enicar is a watch company that was at par with competitors like Rolex, Zenith. They made some fabulous watches for adventure, diving, motorsport. It is the enthusiast watch. Enicars were very popular in India at one time, and you can definitely find good Enicars in India. I recommend everyone to get an Enicar into their collection. They are very competitively priced, and you can find an Enicar here for half the price of an Enicar in Europe. So I would say get an Enicar. So these were some of the affordable pieces I've gotten from my collection today. I think these pieces are readily available in India and provide a very good access point for new collectors into the vintage watch world. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about each of these watches and what your experience has been on these watches if you already have one in your collection. Thank you for watching.